Hello, this is Sherman Blackwell, Executive Director at Singing River Services. Thank you for joining me today. So delighted to have one of my favorite guests on the program, David Farr. He is a peer support specialist with the I-Court. He was on the program not terribly long ago, last year, the end of last year. Welcome, David.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you back. David has been at Singing River Services. This coming September will be 2 years that he has been at Singing River Services, and he's doing a great job for us. When we talk about peer support specialists, and we've had several peer support folks on the program, I think this is one of the most important programs that we ever do, because being real candid, David's very candid about his diagnosis, bipolar diagnosis, dual diagnosis, and I think it's so important for our audience to understand that someone that has had the issues that you have, and here you are today, working in community mental health, helping others. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that journey and how that got started, David.
Well, last time I was on here, I kind of went through my testimony a little bit, but you know, towards the end there, I really didn't get to say everything I wanted. So just to kind of go back over, you know, what's went on in my lifehood. You know, my childhood, it wasn't average like most people's childhood. I was molested, you know, when I was young. My father was, he was a drug addict. He was bipolar and used to abuse my mom, you know, some of my earliest thoughts. She divorced him when I was 7, married another fella, and he was abusive to me and my brothers. So a lot of traumatic, you know, childhood relations there. Now, I was diagnosed with ADD when I was young, got on medications. It was hard for me to focus and concentrate in school. So that was my first bit of diagnosis, first bit of, you know, medications. It really helped me, really helped me concentrate. And
those teenage years were very difficult, and that's when you kind of accelerated with the drug use and alcohol and things along those lines. There's a portion in your vita here that says you were in the infantry in the Army as a medic. What led up to that? What caused you to go into the Army?
Well, it's a little embarrassing. Actually, I was drinking a lot. I become alcoholic, trying to, you know, self-medicate on the depression and the different symptoms I was having, unaware that I was actually bipolar at the time. So I drank a lot. I ended up getting 3 DUIs in a short amount of time, which is actually a felony in Mississippi. Wow. I was young. I was scared. I think I was about 21 years old. And so I went and talked to the district prosecutor and begged him pretty much, you know, to see if I could go to the military. I was young, you know, looking at a felony, and they told me I had 90 days to get in a boot camp and they would drop it. So
there you go. Very good. And you were at what age did you go into the military?
I was 21.
When was your first hospitalization for bipolar disorder?
I was in for 4 years, so I think I was about 26 after I got out. First time I, you know, wanted to get help with the depression and anxiety and everything I was going through.
During your time in 4 years in the Army, were there episodes were you aware that, you know, something other than the alcohol and drug abuse, that there's something that's causing this?
There was something that just wasn't right, you know. My depression would lead to days and days of being down, like, you know, for a whole week. I just didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to do nothing, didn't want to socialize with anyone. So it was a little bit different, you know, than other people. And in the back of my head, I always remembered that my dad had mental health problems, that he was also an alcoholic, and I wanted to know why I wanted to self-medicate, why I wanted to do all these different substances. In the Army, you want to be a better person, you know. You're embarrassed to, you know, drink or anything like that. So I did. I went to Gulf Coast Mental Health in Gulfport. I was diagnosed with bipolar manic depressive as well as PTSD.
As well as PTSD. But you managed, I'm impressed because you managed, I mean, you had an honorable discharge.
Honorable discharge.
Through that. So you managed. And so the biggest part of, you know, we can talk about the day-to-day, we can talk all about your history. The biggest part that I want our audience to know is here's a young man who, as you have recounted, with the abuse and with the breakup of the family, with the addiction, with the diagnosis, and here you are today. What do you attribute the fact? I mean, like mental illness is not like having a tooth extracted. I've said this. You don't just see it on a x-ray and there it is and we're going to fix that. It's a process. What are some of the key points for somebody that's watching this today that says, you know, I don't really feel like I'm going to be able to ever do anything, this depression or this manic issues or this addiction? What would you say to them today?
Ask for help. Don't ever be too confident you can't ask for help.
Very good.
Yeah.
So when did you ask for help? Like you said, after you got out of the Army.
My marriage started dwindling because of my depression. I actually became suicidal, and I tried to take my life a few times. And I was always scared to ask for help. I was a soldier, you know. I mean, it was really hard for me to admit that these things are going on with me and want to actually get help for it. So.
When was the point, David, that you would say that it turned over, things got better, even on a smaller scale? When was that point?
Well, once I was diagnosed with bipolar, I was hospitalized. I was unstable, so it was a stabilization facility. The medications took, I don't know, about a week or so, and I just started feeling better. You know, the depression started to ease up, the anxiety eased up, and it really worked. It was really good for a point. The problem was once I got out, I didn't have insurance. I couldn't afford the medications. I didn't know there was programs out there that help you with your medications, and so I was back off. And once I was off my medication, it was back to depression, back to severe anxiety. I was hospitalized once again, and that kind of went on and off different hospitals throughout a good 6 months or so before I found a program that was able to help me with my medications. So that was 4 years ago, and now for the past 4 years, I've been on the proper medication. It did take a few different medications to find the one that worked for me. If one medication helped everybody, we'd all be on it. But unfortunately, there's several different medications out there. So I finally found the one that works for me, and for the past 4 years, I have not been depressed, not one time, no anxiety. If you ask me if I'm a 1 to 10, I'm a 10 every day. It's a blessing. It's awesome what medication and therapy can do.
And therapy that's so important. And you know, that's not unlike everybody else. I mean, I've been to the dentist and different doctors, and you try this antibiotic, and it worked for a while, and then it didn't work, and then it went to another antibiotic.
Right.
We tried that, you know, and so nothing wrong with that. You got to find your way, particularly, I think, when you're talking about mental illness and the elusive component that it is to that, David. I think it's so very, very important. My guest today is David Farr. He has been at Singing River Services now coming up on 2 years. He works in the I-Court, and we're going to talk about that in the second half of the program. And he is a peer support specialist, and we're going to talk more about that and what he does day to day. But I can't thank David enough for being here on today's program, because he is a success story. He has been through hell, been through a lot of junk, a lot of bad stuff, attempted to take his own life on more than one occasion. And here he sits today. And he does not have to be, and he is not the exception, but can be the rule. And that can be done. It's not going to be without a struggle when you're talking about a major mental illness, bipolar, schizophrenia, major depression, these type things. But the journey has to begin. And to have David here today, to me, demonstrates a great hope. We can talk a lot about different things. We can talk about therapies, and we can talk about all kinds of things. In mental illness and in the mental health arena, I'm one of the few that'll say it. It's an inexact science. It takes 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. But when your person decides that they want to get better and do better, then it can happen. We have proof here with David Farr. And so that's why the number that you see on the screen is so very important. As David just said, ask for help.
Ask for help.
Ask for help. Don't be afraid. He said he was in the Army, and I was in the Army. I didn't need to ask any help. Mm-hmm. But ask for help. Everybody needs help at some point in time. Everybody needs it. And so, but particularly, we're talking about chronic, serious mental illness. We're talking about, here's an example of how you can get better. This is Sherman Blackwell. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk more with David Farr right after these messages.
Are you getting letters from the IRS? Have you not filed taxes in years? Do you feel like you have no options? Because we can help you find the best option based on your specific needs. The IRS has the power to freeze your bank account, to garnish your paycheck, and to seize your assets. We can help you with offer and compromises, not collectible status, innocent spousal relief, lien removal, garnishment relief, installment agreements, and much, much more. I am Ryan Longmire, and I'm here for all your tax service needs. Do not settle for just any tax service company. Choose Taxes in Time and let me get to work for you. Call now for your free consultation. Weekend appointments are available. Taxes in Time, a local tax company you can trust with all of your IRS and state taxing issues.
Yeah, it's another one. 5.
Hey girls, what are y'all counting?
We're counting all the foster trucks we see.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It really is. There's so many of them.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
When it comes to providing the best in heating and cooling, you can always count on Foster's Heating and Air, home of the old reliables. How many have you counted today?
11.
Are you trying to decide on lunch or dinner? Well, Scranton's Restaurant and Catering has now made it even more convenient than ever with their new QR scan that takes you straight to their menu. Simply use your phone to scan and order. It's just that easy. Or stop by and choose from a variety of ready-to-go fresh menu items from their Marketplace Deli. Scranton's Restaurant and Catering, located on Delmas Avenue in Pascagoula. Stop by, call, or scan today.
Hello, this is Sherman Blackwell, Executive Director at Singing River Mental Health. Thank you for joining us for the second half of today's program. As mentioned in the first block, I'm so delighted to have David Farr on the program. I tell you, he is just an inspiration, and he's an inspiration to a lot of people. His story is one of being tenacious, getting the help that he needs, even though all of the tremendous obstacles that he's faced. Everybody, we're not belittling anybody's obstacles that they have in life. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different saturation point. But David has overcome many a mountain to be here. And one thing also that David brings, not only with his testimony, but he wanted to get into this business in order to help those like the struggle that he's been through. There is a unique advantage when you can say, I have been there and I have done that, and this is what I did. And a lot of that comes with you're an I-Corps certified peer support specialist. What is that, David?
Well, a peer support specialist is someone who has a lived experience of either mental health illnesses, a family member that's had mental health, or a drug and alcohol substance addiction. So it's someone that's actually been there, done that, has a good amount of sobriety, that actually goes to these classes. I think it was a week and a half long of classes, and I got certified. So basically, like I said, it's someone that has a lived experience of hardships, of addiction, substance use, mental health, dual diagnosis.
Right.
There's several different types of peer support specialists. You've got the adult peer support specialist like myself that works with adults. You've got the kids peer support specialist that works with children. And you have the family caregiver peer support specialist, which is for someone that's had a relative that's had mental health or substance use addictions in the past.
Wow, interesting. What kind of thing, how do you transfer what you've experienced to the people that you see? Give us what kind of, I guess I'm asking, what does your day-to-day look like? You got a caseload of people that you see. What does that involve?
Well, I pretty much listen to some of the different things that they have
going on in their
life.
Excuse me, but you go see people.
I actually go see them. I go see the people in the community and assess the situation, and I help provide different resources, coping skills, share some of my story with them, what kind of happened with me, and how I got through it. Believe it or not, most of my clients, I've experienced something that they're experiencing at some point in their life. So just being that model, just being able to tell them that, look, I've been through what you're going through, I was able to get through it, you're going to be able to get through it. A lot of what I've learned from being hospitalized and from my therapist applies to how I'm able to interact with my own clients. I'm real big on resources, so if they need, say, like food stamps, if they're trying to get on SSI, if they need housing, that's a big problem around here, is homelessness. So just different community resources I am very well with, I know, and I'm able to help our clients.
So you deal with, you understand, someone's hungry, they've got to have something to eat, someone needs shelter, they got to have the physical amenities. That goes a long way with someone's positive mental health. When you do that, it has to connect with the people that you see. When you sit down with John Doe and you say, I'm David Farr, and I'm not just here, as a vocation. I'm here somebody that has experienced the things. That has to connect.
It does.
And when you build trust, do you agree people get better
That's right. Yes. And to be able to come to someone and say that I've been through what you're going through really puts a surprise on their face. To actually know that, hey, this guy has been there. This guy is here to help. If he can do this, I can do this. So.
That is so, I can't express to our audience enough the courage that it takes for years, and still with some mental illness carries the stigma. For years it was buried, hid away, put away. But of the last few decades, the knowledge, the increase, the knowledge, and the prevalence of it, you're certainly not an isolated case. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people. And the courage that it takes for you to do that, and to do this program, just resonates with me so powerfully, and I know it has to with others, because we can assemble an august panel and chit chat with a lot of pabulum about a lot of different things when it comes, and some of it's very meaning and helpful to people. But when you say it, bam, you've been on the other side. You say to that, I have sat where you sit. Mm-hmm. What kind of trust do you see? You said you recognize that. What does that mean? You just know they get it?
Well, it's a feeling I get. I guess when you've lived the experience, almost like being a soldier. Anytime you get around somebody else, you can kind of tell, the authenticity that they've been there, that they've done that. And so, yes, when I tell them part of my testimony that I've been here and done that, it gives them hope. It really does, and that's the passion I have for this program. I used to look back on my past and the addiction and everything I've been through was just negative and just hated my past. But I couldn't do what I do right now if I hadn't been through what I've been through. So it's a blessing. It's not a curse. It's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
And I encourage other clients, that want to get in this field the same way that I have. A lot of people ask me, how do I become a peer support specialist?
Tell us how you do that.
Well, I believe the Department of Mental Health's website should have something on there about peer support specialists. If not, just look it up. But the classes that I went to were in Jackson, Mississippi. And like I said, I believe it was a week and a half long classes, but now I hear that they're doing them in Gulfport. So I believe they've actually brought that to the coast.
What happened in those classes, David? What do you remember about those classes? Were there anything particular? Were they just telling you, you gave your own testimony about it? And
you do a lot of role play with each other.
Okay.
So, and then they kind of teach you, about HIPAA, confidentiality, some of the things that you may face, how to do coping skills, and how to build trust with the clients. Just kind of.
You're not a therapist. You're a peer support specialist. What's the difference?
Peer support specialist I'm able to help people with different coping skills and resources. A therapist is actually going to diagnose that person and be able to help that person with actual true therapy. Now I can do therapeutic activities, I can do coping skills, but there's a fine line between where a therapist picks up and where a peer support ends off.
Right, and that's so important. Other people do the diagnosis, there's a gathering caseload, and then you go and see. I know there were some challenges this last year with COVID and things like that, and hopefully some of that's easing up. We're under 3 minutes now, David. Is there anything, if there's somebody, and it's not about, you say anything, to be repetitious is to get things done sometimes. If someone is watching and say, man, they vacillating between taking that step to get the help they need, what would you say to them?
It's never too late, and don't be afraid to get help, to ask for help. There are so many services out here. And don't be offended to be diagnosed with a mental health condition. I believe that everyone has something mental health going on, but when it stands out from the rest, that's when you need to get help. There's medication, there's therapy. If it wasn't for me going to therapy and learning how to express my feelings and get them out in the open, I don't think I could do what I do today. It's not just the medication. It's therapy. There's groups out there, support groups. If you're having a substance use problem, there's rehabs, there's IOP. There's so many different programs out there for you. So if you're experiencing a lot severe depression, anxiety, whatnot, you can come here to Singing River Services and get an assessment. This is Jackson County. Harrison County is going to have their own. Each county is going to have a place that you can go and at least get assessed and find out, hey, is there something wrong with me? If there's something wrong, what can I do about it? But don't go undiagnosed. Don't become suicidal and severely depressed and just think that you're going to get over it. Sometimes you can, but it's best to know, through a professional, is there something wrong and can I get help with it? But do not be afraid to ask for help.
Thank you for that. That's very courageous to do. And I know it's been some time since you've done this, but I believe David would be glad to come speak to your church, your civic group, whatever
Most
organization
that
you have. He would be glad to come 5, 10, 15 minutes and talk, because as we've often said, it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when someone that you love, someone that you know, someone that you care about is going to have some type of mental health issue. The data is there. 1 in 4 individuals going to have some type of mental health issue. Much of that will be transient. Some of that will stay. David, I can't thank you enough, and I applaud your courage, and I appreciate everything that you do for Singing River Services. But beyond that, for people that are in the community, walking in those houses, talking to them, meeting them at a different place, talking to them on the phone, telling them that it's going to be okay, keep taking your meds, keep doing the things that you need to do, and you're living proof of the fact that somebody that you can bipolar disorder is a very chronic issue, and here you are succeeding in life and making a difference in others' lives. Thanks for being here.
Thanks a lot, and thank y'all.
This is Sherman Blackwell. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We certainly do appreciate it, and we remind you of the number you see on the screen there. That number is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It won't be too many more months, and we'll have David back on the program. Thanks for tuning in. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Are you getting letters from the IRS? Have you not filed taxes in years? Do you feel like you have no options? Because we can help you find the best option based on your specific needs. The IRS has the power to freeze your bank account, to garnish your paycheck, and to seize your assets. We can help you with offer and compromises, not collectible status, innocent spousal relief, lien removal, garnishment relief, installment agreements, and much, much more. I am Ryan Longmire, and I'm here for all your tax service needs. Do not settle for just any tax service company. Choose Taxes in Time and let me get to work for you. Call now for your free consultation. Weekend appointments are available. Taxes in Time, a local tax company you can trust with all of your IRS and state taxing issues.
Are you trying to decide on lunch or dinner? Well, Scranton's Restaurant and Catering has now made it even more convenient than ever with their new QR scan that takes you straight to their menu. Simply use your phone to scan and order. It's just that easy. Or stop by and choose from a variety of ready-to-go fresh menu items from their Marketplace Deli. Scranton's Restaurant and Catering, located on Delmas Avenue in Pascagoula. Stop by, call, or scan today.